Thank you very much, everyone, for your time. I'm Brad Rourke. I'm the president and CEO of Scottie Resources. Scottie Resources is an exploration company situated in Northwest BC in a place called the Golden Triangle. Of course, I'll be making some forward-looking statements. And the highlights I'd like to present on this presentation would be, first off, the location in which we're working. I think these are all very important when considering putting risk capital to work in the exploration game. Is where you're trying to do business, the infrastructure in around if you happen to find gold or silver, a commanding land position where the function of what we do as junior explorers is take our exploration teams, prove something up, and then move it on to the next suitor. And those next suitors, those bigger companies, they'd love to see exploration potential and running room. We'll show you that we've completed that. We've got a great management team. Most of us have been on this for over 5 years. I'm going into my 7th year running this company. And we're in a strong cash position. So those will be the highlights we'll be going over. And then, of course, the geology. So as stated, we're situated in the Golden Triangle. And what I like to show is I'm very familiar with the Golden Triangle. The first time I'd been on one of the properties, it would have been about 1989, and I raised my family in the area. So I know the area very well, was part of the Eskay Creek staking rush, slept 100 days at Snip Mine and such. But what I've seen in the last 18 months, even though the market's down and to the right, is an awful lot of activity. And of course, that started off with Newmont taking the GT Gold assets, and then as of recently, Newcrest has taken over my neighbor to the north, which is Pritium. We also have Seabridge, which is the largest gold deposit on the planet Earth currently. And if you look at the bottom 4 companies on this graph we're showing is SK Mining, Skeena, GT Gold, and Tudor Gold. Those companies were all junior exploration companies 3-4 years ago. So what I'd like to highlight it is, yes, it's possible to get these high torque situations with good exploration companies. And I'll make the argument why one should consider Scottie, because I think where they were 4 years and where we are today, we have a lot of evidence and where we could add value to where we are currently. So we're in the right jurisdiction. We're in the right area. Things to note that's not on here. Hochschild is now in the area, as well as the Lundins have taken a position in one of the other companies. That shows great confidence that there's a future in the Golden Triangle and for a very long time. When we first started, we started with a past-producing gold mine, the Scottie Gold Mine. It was 400 hectares and a power line that was about to be built to the Bruce Jack mine. Those were the kind of the two things that got me involved in this 7 years ago. But we've done over a dozen transactions over that time. And as you can see in yellow, we've created a very interesting land position. You can see with the Newcrest and Ascot and Scottie were the dominant positions of land in the southern end of the Golden Triangle. So we've kind of set the table for the next stage is we're providing that running room. Also, on this tenure that you see, we've got 7 past producing mines, even though all our efforts are focused just in and around the Scottie, which has the most evidence and the biggest potential as we see now. But there's so much more opportunity in that land position we have. There's road that bifurcates, the big one there on the right, and there's power line to all of it. So very, very important when you're looking at infrastructure. The infrastructure for the area is great, but the actual infrastructure to Scottie Gold Mine is equally, if not more impressive. That is the road that goes to Scottie. In fact, that is Scottie tenure that we're looking at on the picture. The power line right there, I call it our power line, but that's the Bruce Jack power line. We're not close to it. It runs along our border. Also, the town of Stewart on that road is just 40 kilometers away from our project. And that possesses a deep shipping port. This is where Pritium and others are moving concentrate from. So the infrastructure for the area has sure changed in the last 30 years. we don't have anything that we wish for at Scottie. We can drive to it. There's power. And within Scottie itself, there's 7 kilometers of underground workings. It's very, very competent rock. You can still push the locomotives up and down the tracks. So there's that sort of infrastructure. And even though we're an exploration company, we're in possession of a mine permit M139, much like Barkerville Gold. It's a small mine permit, but it's there. And we think that will be interesting to people as we go further down the road. I'd like to highlight the program that we completed we just finished in 2021. And it was a robust drill program with 14,500 meters of exploration drilling. So that's us hunting. We also have been heavy on geophysics for the last few years, completed 3 or 4 different geophysical surveys, including a downhole EM, which we've never done before, in and around the Scottie Gold Mine. And because of the nature of the mineralogy, we have a bunch of ideas why that's working. We still haven't had most of that data to process yet, but it allows us to find drill targets in the future. And our drill targeting for the last 3 years, I think everyone would agree, have been very, very successful. This is a picture of the original 400 hectares of the Scottie Gold Mine. And really what I would like to show here is inside that mountain is where there's an old mill and the underground workings. With the 2 tailings ponds there on the right and Blueberry Zone. So just to show how close Blueberry is, because we're going to talk an awful lot about Blueberry and with Scottie Gold Mine. And we're just sitting here taking a picture looking west. So just to kind of give a feeling how big 400 hectares is. On this slide shows the exact same photograph that I just presented, except now I'm that road I took the picture from, as you can see, is right here, right behind my back would have been the power line. These are some of the highlights from the first 2 drill seasons that we did. In the first year, Scottie did 2,000 meters of drilling. In 2020, we ramped that up to 7,000 meters. As we get more and more information, we had more and more confidence. Well, this season, in spite of a challenging market in relation to the stock market, we have the evidence. We did 14,500 meters. And as you can see, those grades are very, very compelling. And we'll talk a little bit more about Scottie at this moment. So our whole goal at Scottie, and I'll just remind people, Scottie was a past producing mine. It produced a 0.5 ounce per ton in the early 80s. And what shut it down was never running out of ore. It was literally economics at the time. The commodity price, gold, was a high price at around 1980 when they opened this mine, call it $700 to $800. And when they closed the mine in 1984, at the very beginning of 84, gold had fallen $300. But the fatal flaw is they took a $20 million facility with the Royal Bank of Canada. But if you borrowed money in 1980 for a development project, it was 22% interest. So when the commodity price rolled over, that was really a weight they just couldn't continue, although the mine was producing a 0.5 ounce per ton. So our goal was to expand the known zone, which on this shows the M zone. We have found a couple new zones, as you can see, and really what I'd like to show you is we're not drilling in and around the mine where I could find good drill holes almost certainly. We're really spreading out and trying to expand that. We think it's been very successful. And as you can see, we're showing, highlighting some of the grades, but they're all extremely respectable, especially given where we're situated right now in between 2 mines. But the real story, I think, is Blueberry. And what I'd like people to do is just judge the whole company on Blueberry alone, even though we have all these other great possibilities and other unlocked value items that we will unlock when we can. But the story of Blueberry is it was a discovery for us. We, didn't expect to hit where we were hitting. We were actually drilling a different target. And we come across this interesting hole with a 7.5 gram over 34 meters. In 2020, we just had to test to see that was, because it was different mineralogy than we saw and what we were exploring. So we did a tight drill program in around this this situation. What we found extremely good results there. And then this is the year in 2021 where we really tested a theory. We learned that we weren't chasing a vein anymore, and these holes were hitting along a contact between the sediments and the volcanics. And where those two big pieces of rock met, we were getting 70%, 78% success hitting along that contact. And so I'll give you, and then again, we can see what happens for 2020. But I'll just walk you through this exploration process, why this is a new discovery. And when you understand that this is only 7,000 meters of drilling, it really can get people excited. That's the hole. That vein we have there was the reason we bought the Blueberry. We paid $1 million essentially for that vein. And in testing that vein for the very first time in 2019, well in advance of that target, is where we hit that 7.5 gram over 34 meter. Extraordinary hole, but it didn't fit what our hypotheses were at that time. So we had to go and explore that. And so we did a very tight drill program. And we were actually thinking we're trying to find the geometry of this vein. And what we found is an awful lot of great intercepts, as you can see, but it wasn't a vein that we were chasing at all. It's a north-south contact, which again made us adjust our models after the 2020 season. And then we tested them this year. And as you can see, we stepped out 200 meters to the north, 200 meters to the south, and we were drilling where the solid lines are, is where we could see the contact from surface. Where the dotted lines, it's just till, so we could never know for sure if that contact was there. So we stepped out and drilled this contact, and as you can, I mean, it's extraordinary. Our hit rate and the amount of grade that we're seeing right on the road. As you can see, the black line is the road. We had 4 drill pads right on the road. They didn't see this before. That road's been driven on for 50 years because it just wasn't under a different type of mineralogy. So we're really excited. Great success. And again, we just put out a news release on Tuesday extending this 650 meters is now 225 meters deep. As you can see, we hit a 15 gram over 13 meters. So it's getting wider at the bottom thus far. What you see in this long section is we've shown you all the drill holes with the black dots. Where the green is, we just haven't drilled. That's where the till, where we couldn't see the earth. And so rest assured, coming this season, we'll be drilling an awful lot at Blueberry. It's open at depth and it's open along strike. So we've gone from 0 to this with about 7,000 meters of drilling near surface. So the geology part, I think we've done very well. We've exceeded our own expectations. We're really excited. We have a board of directors and a team that have been with this, working with Scottie for a very long time. It's a very good, diverse mix of skill sets. Nobody on this board knew each other before the formation of it. Of course, I've had a few relationships there, but basically it's an independent board. Ernie Mast, C-suite executive, a lot of success. John Williamson, junior mining legend, and Steve Stein has built a company into the TSX 300 from a napkin, so knows the service industry really well. Christina Body was the same, I shared the same corporate secretary as GT Gold. Stephen Solis works for the firm that looks after the CFOs for K92. So we're in really good hands with the people that we've been working with. And everyone's been with us, even though the stock price hasn't moved. Nobody's jumped ship, and they all believe in this story and have been and help out. I truly run the company via the board. 2.5 years ago, we had 0 institutional support. We've grown that pie to about 33% institutionals. Board and management still own a healthy piece. I'm just under 7% of the company. I didn't start this company. I paid for my shares. Easy to go look back and see. Issued and outstanding is 200 million shares, 202 million shares. Fully diluted is going to change really quick because there's some warrants that are not in the money and be expiring. What I like to point out to people as you see my share count rise, I've done over a dozen transactions in the area. This isn't reissuing paper on the same story over and over again. So we're not perturbed by that share count. And we're sitting with about $3.7 million in the bank. I think that's a great introduction there. And thank you very much.
Thank you, Brad here. And I'd like to ask the first question here from Kim. Are you trying to consolidate the region and sell it to other active companies in there, like a SCOT, for example?
Well, I think we're done consolidating. It was very difficult to do. Again, it took me 5 years. And there's not a piece of land I don't know and probably didn't try and do a deal on. It's funny now that there's some properties that are showing interest, but I don't think it does our shareholders any good to take over any more land. As you can see, I put out a 200 gram meter hole this week and the stock hasn't risen. So I don't know if we get value by continuing to consolidate. We're happy with our efforts. We're really happy with what we have. I'm not motivated to do any more consolidation because I just don't see the value for the shareholders.
Sure. The next question from Lincoln is that what kind of catalysts are the news are investors expecting this year?
Did you say catalysts, Gilbert?
Yeah.
Okay, so we haven't completed putting all our news out this year, so there is more news coming on Blueberry and Scottie. So that's something that people should, I hope, just keep their eyes open. We're happy to get that out, and we'll be pretty consistent with news now. We just got to work at things to make sure we know what we're talking about. I think the catalyst is I'm going to put together a 2020 drill program, and when you understand that there's such few meters on Blueberry, it's open. People, how can you not get excited when you understand SCOT will be producing? So another big catalyst is we believe Q4, Q1 2023 that the SCOT mill will be in operation. That's great. Newcrest just bought my neighbors out Pritium. We think there's a good chance we might receive some redeployment of the money from the Pritium shareholders because they're going to stay in the area. And they'll look at Scottie and go, oh, it's worth a little bit of that money. Because again, if you look at the GT, the SKs, Tudors, Skinas, they were all the same price I was. And certainly I would like to point, where am I today to where they were and compare those market caps. There's a lot of potential value where we are. So hopefully that's a catalyst. I can only speculate and hope on that. But we're working to make sure people are aware of that we're here and to really give us a hard look. Besides that, I think the gold market needs to do what the gold market needs to do. I can't change the market, but we're not going to change anything. We're just going to do exactly what we've done year after year. But I think you'll see 85% of our holes at Blueberry only. It's my cheapest drilling and gram meter per dollar. It's an extraordinary story.
Sure. Final question here before we go from Jody. Do you have any financing plan in the near term?
So we're sitting with just under $4 million. I'm going to do at least 15,000 meters this season. I won't do a meter less than the season before. We're growing in spite of the market. But I think I'll try and do this internally. This company's on sale right now at 18 cents. If no one can recognize that, I don't see how it benefits the people who've been with us thus far. I'll need to supplement by $4 million. I get a phone call every day of somebody willing to raise me money. So it's a matter of getting the right money, maybe another corporate, maybe just my existing shareholders. But I don't think the public will see something unless I have to. Never say never, but that's my goal. That's what I'm going to try and achieve, and we'll just see here. Just check in with us in the next month.
Sure. Thank you for being with us here today for the update, Brad.
Wonderful. Good to see you again, Gilbert.
Good to see you.